Rick Harrison, the famous star of the reality TV show Pawn Stars, has been sentenced to life in prison in a shocking trial. With a career full of ups and downs, from running the famous gold and silver pawn shop to becoming a familiar face on television, Rick was once considered a success story in the antique business. However, actions related to financial fraud and the sale of stolen antiques have dragged him into a turbulent legal battle. What led to this outcome? Let's dive into the details of the downfall of a television legend and the secrets behind this shocking verdict. Join us as we uncover the surprising story and the truth behind the life of a man who was once seen as a model of success. If you find this story interesting, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with the latest developments and dramatic twists in the case. Richard Kevin Harrison, better known as Rick Harrison, from the popular reality TV show Pawn Stars, became famous not only on screen, but also for his colorful, real-life stories that captured the media's attention. The Harrison family's gold and silver pawn shop, located at 713 South Las Vegas Boulevard, became the central backdrop for Pawn Stars starting in July 2009. Who would have guessed that a regular pawn shop could become one of the most watched shows on the History Channel, revealing an intriguing and sometimes bizarre world of pawnbroking? Richard Kevin Harrison, born on March 22, 1965 in Lexington, North Carolina, is a successful businessman and a familiar face on American television. When he was just 2 years old, his family moved to San Diego, California, where he spent most of his childhood. Few know that Rick had to deal with epilepsy from the age of 8, a condition that led him to spend much of his time reading. This helped him accumulate an extensive wealth of historical knowledge, an essential factor in his later career. Rick's childhood was not easy. His epilepsy caused him to miss school multiple times, and he eventually dropped out in his sophomore year. However, the interruption to his formal education did not diminish his thirst for knowledge and success. Instead of following traditional methods of learning, Rick self-educated by reading books on a wide range of subjects, particularly history and business. This self-taught approach allowed him to build a rich knowledge base. This is something viewers easily noticed in his impressive appearances on Pawn Stars. So what led a self-reliant and curious person like Rick to get tangled in legal troubles? As a teenager, Rick began working with his father on various business ventures. It was here that he developed his sharp ability to assess the value and authenticity of items, a priceless skill for his future career. At 17, Rick's girlfriend became pregnant, and they got married. The young couple had 2 sons, Corey and Adam, before divorcing after 8 years of marriage. In 1981, Rick's family moved to Las Vegas, Nevada, where his father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, opened a coin and gold shop. Did the ups and downs in his personal life influence Rick's decisions and actions later on? What started as a small coin shop gradually evolved into the world-renowned gold and silver pawn shop in 1989, which later became the main backdrop for Pawn Stars. The shift from a coin shop to a pawn shop was a strategic decision, as the Harrison family saw higher profit potential in this field. The early years were filled with challenges as Rick and his father worked tirelessly to build their reputation in Las Vegas. Rick often faced difficult customers and occasionally dangerous situations, but could these struggles in building his career lead to some poor decisions later on? By the early 2000s, Rick had become a well-known figure in Las Vegas due to his expertise in various types of collectibles and antiques. His pawn shop earned a reputation as a place where unique and valuable items could be found, attracting both locals and tourists. Seeing the entertainment potential in his business, Rick saw an opportunity. But what happened next? What led a successful and influential person like Rick Harrison to face a life sentence? Stay tuned to uncover this mystery. But did Rick stop at just running a successful pawn shop? No. In the mind of this ambitious man, a bold idea emerged: to turn the daily activities at his shop into an exciting reality TV show. What inspired Rick to pursue this idea with such passion? Do you see the entertainment and educational potential in the unique deals and the rich history behind each item? After years of knocking on TV network doors and facing countless rejections, Rick's persistence finally paid off in 2009. A deal was signed with the History Channel, marking a new chapter in his career. Did Rick know that this decision would change his life and his family's forever? Not long after, Pawn Stars hit the airwaves, taking viewers behind the scenes with Rick, his son Corey, his respected father Richard Old Man Harrison, and close friend Austin Chumley Russell as they carried out the daily grind at the gold and silver pawn shop. The show revealed the process of appraising, buying, and selling valuable, and sometimes downright bizarre, collectibles. Its success was nearly instant, turning Rick from a local pawn shop owner into a television star known by millions. His simple catchphrase, confident demeanor, and deep historical knowledge quickly won over audiences. The line, "The best I can do is," became iconic every time he negotiated with customers looking to sell their prized possessions. One key factor that set Pawn Stars apart from other reality shows was the educational element that Rick always emphasized. Each episode offered fascinating historical insights into the items brought into the shop, with Rick often sharing background stories and in-depth details that showcased his vast knowledge. Under Rick's leadership, the pawn shop expanded and began attracting visitors from around the world, all hoping to meet the stars of the show, or even appear in an episode themselves. Revenue skyrocketed, and Rick capitalized on his newfound fame by writing books, attending live events, and even opening a successful restaurant called Rick's Rollin' Smoke Barbecue and Tavern. Pawn Stars catapulted Rick to new heights, landing him spots on talk shows, magazine features, and making him a sought-after speaker at business events. His stories of overcoming adversity resonated with many Americans, and his no-nonsense business advice earned him respect not just in entertainment, but in the business world as well. But what truly made Rick Harrison a standout name in the world of antiques and collectibles? Throughout his career, Rick has shown an incredible ability to spot hidden value in places others might easily overlook. Is it a natural talent, or the result of relentless learning and hands-on experience? It's his sharp eye and deep knowledge that ultimately fueled the success of Pawn Stars. Fans of Pawn Stars have watched Rick appraise a wide range of items, from rare historical documents to classic cars, from ancient artifacts to modern collectibles. His knowledge seems limitless, though he often turns to experts when an item goes beyond his scope. Could this be a sign of a wise businessman who knows his limits? We've seen Rick buy and sell countless items on the show. Some big wins, others not quite what he expected. Was it his deep knowledge of watches, firearms, and American historical artifacts that brought him those massive profits? One of Rick's most famous deals was the 2001 Super Bowl ring from the New England Patriots, which he bought for $20,600, only to later discover it was worth much more. Was it just a lucky score, or the result of Rick's sharp instincts and deep knowledge of sports memorabilia value? Another standout acquisition was a collection of Spanish gold, including doubloons salvaged from a 1715 shipwreck, reflecting his passion for both history and precious metals. But are these successes all there is to know about Rick's life? Beneath the success and lighthearted moments, Rick Harrison has faced tremendous loss. What tragedies has he endured, and how have they shaped him? Behind the bright stage lights and cheerful TV banter, Rick's personal life has been marked by deep ups and downs and significant heartbreak. His life isn't just about rare antiques and million-dollar deals. It also carries the weight of sorrowful turning points, broken relationships, and wounds that may never fully heal. Three failed marriages have marked Rick's life, and each divorce likely left scars on his heart. It's not hard to imagine the emotional pain and sense of abandonment he must have felt as relationships he once believed were solid came crashing down. Did each breakup steal a piece of his trust, hope, and vision of a happy family? Rick's first marriage to Kim Harrison, which began in 1982, ended just 3 years later. This personal tragedy marked the first time Rick faced the pain of a broken family. The marriage gave him 2 sons, Corey and Adam. But the quick collapse forced Rick to juggle fatherhood with his personal ambitions. The heartbreak made him more cautious in future relationships and strengthened his resolve to build a stable career to support his children. His father, Richard, became a pillar during this time, helping Rick navigate the hardship with practical advice and support in the family business. But the pain didn't stop there. Rick married Tracy Harrison in 1986, and their 25-year marriage seemed to provide a solid foundation, especially with the birth of their son, Jake. However, this marriage also ended in divorce in 2011, leaving Rick once again facing the sting of personal failure and doubts about his ability to maintain a happy family. After this divorce, he became more private about his personal life, shifting his focus even more toward the pawn shop and Pawn Stars. His father, Richard, remained a vital figure, not just in the business, but as an emotional anchor, helping Rick cope with the pain and reinforcing his sense of responsibility to his family. Rick's third marriage to Deanna, which began in 2013, was initially seen as a chance for him to rediscover happiness after past heartbreaks. However, by 2021, that marriage also ended in divorce, marking the third time Rick had to face the painful reality of a relationship falling apart. The repeated failures in his personal life left him increasingly skeptical about love and more closed off, keeping his private life away from the public eye. If you're a longtime fan of Pawn Stars and want to stay updated on what happens next, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any important updates. Share this video so your friends and fellow fans can join the conversation and dive deeper into this shocking story. Stay with us as we continue uncovering dramatic and unexpected tales. But Rick's tragedy didn't end there. One of the greatest losses he faced was the passing of his father, Richard Benjamin Harrison Jr., on June 25, 2018. To Rick, his father wasn't just a partner on Pawn Stars. He was a mentor and a guiding force in both life and business. The old man was an essential part of the gold and silver pawn shop, where Rick learned patience, business savvy, and the true value of family. His father's passing left a deep emotional void, forcing Rick to confront loneliness and take on greater responsibility in preserving the legacy he and his dad built together. Since then, Rick has become more reserved but more determined to protect the reputation of the shop and the show with unwavering seriousness. Rick has openly spoken about his struggle with depression, especially after his father's death in 2018. Losing his beloved father sent him into a downward emotional spiral, intensifying the pressures of both work and life. This tragedy made Rick more reflective, but it also forged him into a resilient man, determined to rise above adversity. Rick's father, Richard, remains his greatest source of inspiration, with values of strength and responsibility that helped Rick stay grounded and continue running Pawn Stars and the pawn shop. It seemed the pain might have stopped there, but soon after, Rick faced the greatest heartbreak of his life, the loss of his son, Adam. Losing a child, especially to a drug overdose, is a pain beyond words. Rick's tearful reflections, filled with regret and haunting questions, reveal the deep sorrow he carries within. Can time ever truly heal a wound like this? In a tearful interview, the creator of Pawn Stars opened up about the irreplaceable loss of his 39-year-old son. "I think about him every day," Rick Harrison said through tears, also remembering his father. Rick watched his son Adam struggle with life's challenges. He didn't hide the fact that Adam had battled drug addiction since his early 20s. Rick sent his son to rehab multiple times, hoping he'd find the right path, but the cruel cycle of addiction continued to follow Adam, leaving Rick heartbroken. Did Rick miss something? A decision he should have made to prevent this tragedy? In anguish, he asks himself if he could have done things differently. "I think I did everything right." But you sit there and think, what if I'd done this? What if I'd done that? You have hundreds of thoughts running through your head, Rick said, revealing the heavy burden he carries. The tragedy struck when Adam died of an overdose. He had used fentanyl, an extremely dangerous synthetic painkiller, which ultimately took his life. Can anyone truly grasp the heart-wrenching pain a father endures after losing his beloved child? Adam Harrison was found unresponsive at a hotel in Las Vegas, where he had been living and was later confirmed dead. A police investigation revealed the cause of death as an overdose of fentanyl and methamphetamine. The coroner's office ruled it a tragic accident. Prior to this, Rick had spoken out about the fentanyl crisis in the U.S., urging people to be more aware of the dangers posed by this deadly drug. Could Adam's death serve as a painful wake-up call for society about this epidemic? In a conversation with Graham Benzinger, Rick Harrison bitterly reflected that as a parent of a child battling addiction, you try to be tough on them, but you never think an overdose is going to happen. This emotional statement reveals the helplessness and heartbreak parents face when their children struggle with addiction. Despite doing everything he could, Rick never imagined the worst tragedy would strike his own family. Is this a pain no words can truly describe? Yet the storm didn't stop there. It raged on as Rick Harrison became entangled in a major lawsuit, ending with a shocking life sentence. So why is Rick Harrison now seen as the biggest con artist of the century? Dark secrets, fraud, tax evasion, and selling counterfeits? Sadly, alongside his success, Rick also faced harsh experiences, many of which stemmed from his own choices. In 2022, Rick Harrison faced several legal disputes involving the gold and silver pawn shop. One notable lawsuit dates back to 2012, when a customer named Wayne F. Jeffrey sued Rick and the shop over allegations of selling stolen jewelry. Jeff claimed he purchased a diamond ring from the store, only to later discover it was part of a theft case and had been confiscated by police. He sought compensation for the amount he paid, along with additional damages, totaling around $40,000. Rick countered that his shop strictly followed all pawn shop regulations, including verifying items with law enforcement databases before selling them. He argued that the store had no way of knowing the item was stolen unless it had been flagged by the police system. After a period of legal proceedings, the court ruled in Rick's favor, determining that the gold and silver pawn shop had not intentionally broken any laws. Jeff received no compensation, and the lawsuit ended without causing significant financial loss to Rick. However, things escalated in 2023, when Rick's legal troubles took a dramatic turn. Federal agents suddenly raided his home in Las Vegas. What led to this shocking raid? At first, the public had no idea what the investigation was about, fueling intense speculation and rumors online. Was a dark secret finally being uncovered? The raid sent shockwaves through the fan community and even those closest to Rick. FBI agents, along with investigators and representatives from the IRS and the Department of Cultural Heritage Protection, raided Rick's home and the famous gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas. When federal agents and law enforcement arrived at the shop, the incident instantly made headlines. Employees and customers present at the time were temporarily detained and asked to provide information. Staff at the gold and silver pawn shop claimed they were unaware of any transactions Rick might have been involved in, calling the event a major shock to everyone there. Meanwhile, FBI agents seized several key items, including computers, accounting records, and a range of inventory they believed could be linked to stolen artifacts from museums and private collections. Among the items confiscated was a Mayan antiquities collection, believed to have been stolen from a renowned museum in Mexico. Documents revealed these artifacts had passed through shady intermediaries. At Rick's home, agents also discovered an 18th-century painting that once belonged to a museum in Paris, but had been stolen during a major heist in 2003. Agents also uncovered numerous documents, contracts, and transactions indicating the trafficking of stolen antiques, including several statues reported missing from private collections. According to confidential sources within the IRS, there were suspicions that Harrison had committed tax evasion by underreporting actual income and hiding earnings from antique sales and other deals through intermediaries. This led to tax evasion charges totaling millions of dollars. The investigation began when the IRS detected irregularities in the financial records of the gold and silver pawn shop. Tax experts pointed out that Rick's shop had several major transactions that were not fully reported in financial statements, and it appeared that this income had been funneled through shell companies or anonymous accounts to avoid taxation. Additionally, there were allegations that Rick Harrison was involved in illegal deals with foreign partners and failed to properly report income from international transactions. Investigators from the IRS also revealed that some of these deals were disguised as fake fees or discounts to minimize his tax liability. The investigation led to a series of serious charges against Rick Harrison, including fraud, tax evasion, and knowingly purchasing stolen antiques through intermediaries. These accusations claimed he was intentionally involved in trafficking artifacts stolen from museums and private collections. The scandal severely damaged his public image, as fans and investors began to question the ethics and legality of the transactions at his pawn shop. A key witness in Rick Harrison's case was David Green, a well-known antique collector with a strong voice in the collecting community. David Green had a noteworthy encounter with Rick Harrison, which he described as one of the moments that made him question the legality of the transactions at the gold and silver pawn shop. According to his testimony, he visited Rick's shop in late 2020, intending to sell an extremely rare antique, a bronze mirror from the Qing dynasty, over 300 years old. This was an incredibly valuable and rare item, passed down through generations in his family. When David arrived at Rick's shop, he believed he was dealing with someone who truly appreciated antiques, someone knowledgeable and respectful of the historical value of items like the bronze mirror he owned. At the time, I thought I was dealing with a genuine antique enthusiast, someone who understood historical artifacts and could help me find the right buyer for this piece. Rick always came across as passionate and knowledgeable about antiques, and I genuinely felt confident in selling the mirror to his shop, David shared in his testimony. However, after the mirror was transferred and Rick paid him a fair amount, David began noticing some strange things in the weeks that followed. He had the chance to speak with colleagues in the antique collecting community and discovered that his bronze mirror had surfaced at a major auction held at a renowned museum in New York. The surprising part was that the mirror had been resold for a very high price, but its provenance was completely unclear. David then launched his own investigation and reached out to experts in the antique world. Several friends in the industry confirmed that the mirror may have been resold through shady channels, or possibly even stolen from private collections before ending up with Rick Harrison. After that incident, I began to suspect that many items in Rick's shop might not have legitimate origins, David stated in his testimony. He said the experience made him question the transactions he had made at the gold and silver pawn shop. When he sold his antique, he had no reason to believe it might have a shady background, but after discovering it was resold without any clear provenance, he felt deceived and had reason to believe that other items in the shop might also have unclear or questionable histories. Was Rick truly involved in these shady activities? The investigation appeared to have been triggered by suspicious transactions flagged by financial institutions and complaints from former business partners. Shortly after the raid, the History Channel suspended production of Pawn Stars. Could this be the end of Rick's television career? His attorney, David Marshall, a well-known lawyer in Las Vegas, reassured the public that Rick had always run his business carefully and in compliance with all applicable laws. Not long after the raid, Rick was arrested but released the following day, with a court appearance scheduled just a few days later. Could there be a completely different person behind the image of a straightforward, knowledgeable businessman? Rick's attorney, David Marshall, once again emphasized that Rick firmly denied all charges and would fight to the end in court. But would that denial be enough to stand against the evidence investigators had gathered? The legal battle dragged on for nearly a year, with Rick continuously maintaining his innocence. However, as time went on, mounting evidence and damaging testimonies from former associates left his position weaker than ever. Prosecutors presented encrypted financial records, suspicious messages, and testimony from former employees who claimed Rick instructed them to alter documentation for high-value items. They also provided evidence that he had set up offshore accounts to hide profits from especially valuable transactions. One particularly damning piece of evidence was a series of messages between Rick and an unidentified supplier discussing how to clean the origin of an 18th century document believed to have been stolen from a university. Could this be the undeniable proof of Rick's involvement in illegal antiquities trading? In another exchange, Rick was accused of discussing how to structure a transaction to avoid triggering mandatory reporting requirements for large cash deals. Did these messages reveal a sophisticated method of evading legal oversight? In the end, a life sentence was handed down. The courtroom fell into a heavy, suffocating silence, as if every sound had been cut off while the judge prepared to deliver the verdict. All eyes turned to Rick Harrison, who had tried to remain composed throughout the trial, but no one could ignore the tension in his eyes. Sitting behind him was his son Corey, his face pale, his expression clearly showing shock and worry. Meanwhile, Chumley, Rick's longtime friend, partner, and protege, couldn't hide his emotions. He rested his head in his hands, his eyes filled with disappointment and sorrow. The tension in the courtroom was palpable because this wasn't just any trial. It was a confrontation with destiny. As the judge read the sentence, a heavy silence blanketed the room. The defendant, for your involvement in the trafficking of stolen antiquities and serious financial fraud, this court sentences you to life in prison, the judge declared. The atmosphere became even more still. This was a shocking verdict, not only for Rick, but for many legal experts as well. It seemed unusually harsh for financial crimes, but the judge emphasized that the sentence reflected more than just financial wrongdoing. It was also a punishment for the irreplaceable damage done to the cultural and historical heritage of humanity. Mr. Harrison presented himself to the public as a guardian of history, someone who valued the stories behind ancient artifacts, the judge stated sternly. But in reality, he took part in the looting and destruction of irreplaceable cultural treasures for personal gain. The court could not overlook the severity of such actions. After the sentence was handed down, Rick's legal team immediately filed an appeal, arguing that the punishment was excessive and violated the defendant's rights, especially since the charges were non-violent. They requested that Rick be granted bail while awaiting the outcome of the appeal. However, in another shocking turn, the court denied his bail request. The image of Rick in handcuffs being led away quickly became a media focal point, and soon after, that image spread rapidly across social media, sparking intense public debate. Is this the end of all hope for him? Has justice truly prevailed, or will Rick Harrison become a victim of a legal system he once believed he could navigate? The public and media reaction to the sentence created a deep divide. A group of Rick's fans believed he didn't deserve such a harsh punishment, arguing that it was merely a series of financial missteps in a treacherous business environment. They saw him as someone who had dedicated his life to the pawn and antiques world, driven by a deep love for history. On the other hand, another group believed the sentence was justified, arguing that Rick's actions not only damaged his personal reputation, but also caused significant harm to global cultural heritage. The History Channel, where Pawn Stars had once become a sensation, acted swiftly after the verdict. The network officially cut ties with Rick Harrison, canceled the show, and immediately pulled all reruns from its schedule. In an official statement, the channel expressed deep disappointment in Rick's actions and reaffirmed its commitment to protecting historical artifacts and cultural heritage. It called the decision a difficult but necessary step to preserve the network's integrity. Pawn Stars had become an iconic part of television history, and its absence will leave a significant void that won't be easily filled. The question remains, what show will take the place of this legendary series on the History Channel? Despite his legal troubles, Rick Harrison's impact on reality TV and the pawn industry is undeniable. Before facing these legal issues, he had successfully built a vast business empire that extended far beyond the gold and silver pawn shop. He expanded into restaurants and bars in Las Vegas, with plans to grow into other cities as well. But can these business ventures continue to thrive without Rick's leadership? Currently, the gold and silver pawn shop is managed by his son, Corey, but the responsibility is anything but easy. In an emotional interview a few months after his father's sentencing, Corey opened up about the challenges of maintaining and growing the family business. "We've implemented strict measures to verify the origin of every item we purchase. What happened was a mistake, and we're committed to being part of the solution, not part of the problem," Corey said, hoping that these efforts will help rebuild trust with customers and the community. Chumley, who always saw Rick as both a mentor and a father figure, also spoke about the mixed emotions he felt. "I learned so much from Rick," he shared, "but I also have to accept that there were sides of him I never saw, or maybe didn't want to see." Could the truth about Rick be something even those closest to him never fully understood? Despite facing a storm of controversy, the Harrison family still feels the deep love and support from fans around the world. "The encouraging messages from all of you have truly been a lifeline for our dad," Corey shared. "He reads every letter and finds strength in knowing so many people still believe in him." Is this outpouring of love enough to help Rick get through his darkest days? The family has also organized prayer gatherings outside the shop, where loyal fans come together to show their support. Could these heartfelt gestures truly make a difference during such a difficult time? The case surrounding Rick Harrison is still ongoing, and every development continues to capture public attention. The influence of Pawn Stars and the spotlight from fans only add to the complexity and mystery of the situation. What will the final outcome be? Can Rick Harrison weather this legal storm? Rick Harrison's life has seen dramatic highs and lows, from building a famous antique business empire to facing a life sentence for his wrongdoings. While the mistakes of his past have deeply impacted his career and reputation, this story remains a powerful reminder of the hardships and consequences that can come from poor decisions in life. Can Rick overcome these challenges and rebuild his life? Only time will tell. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on the latest developments in this case. Share the video with your friends so you can uncover more shocking twists and turns together in the future.